Three, two, one. Say I'm a hustler, baby. I just want you to know it ain't where I've been, it's where I'm about to go. And what? I just wanna love ya. And who I am. And in all this cash, gonna get you, man. Say, give it to me. Give me that funk, that good. You know what? We're not even gonna get into that. Hey, yo, welcome back to another episode of the Arts Block Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Curry the Third. Hope y'all all doing well. You all are looking beautiful, great, wonderful as always. Listen, if this is your first time tuning in to an episode of the Arts Block Podcast, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you can be notified every time we post a podcast. If this isn't your first time watching the Arts Block Podcast and you haven't done all of those things already, please do those things for me. If you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, please give me a 5-star and a review. Just say that this is the greatest pod you have ever heard in your life, and that will suffice. Eric, what are we talking about today? All right, so boom, right? Last week I was kind of off my game. Last week, I'm not gonna lie. Was kind of off my game last week. I'm gonna talk about why I was feeling a little off my game last week. We're going to talk about like the how obsession leads to perfection, and our main topic for today is that you can't dream when you're trying to survive. But before I even get into any of that, let me tell y'all something, right? This whole day, I'm not gonna lie, y'all almost didn't get a pod. Y'all was this close to not getting a pod. Y'all are so lucky. I love podding more than I love Love Island. Y'all are so lucky. Y'all are so lucky. I love podding more than I love Love Island. Listen, I just started Love Island today. I'm hooked. I'm addicted. I'm at episode 9. I watched 8 full episodes in one day. And I started late. I started at like 12 o'clock today. No, I really started at like around like 2 o'clock today. Well, like around like 1, 2 o'clock today. I watched 9 episodes, 8 episodes. I'm on episode 9 right now. I'm about to edit this. Me finishing editing this pod and getting it uploaded and stuff. That's gonna be all of episode 9. Then I'm gonna stay up watching the episode. I'm gonna stay up watching episode 10 and 11, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. Wake up tomorrow. No, I'm gonna skip 11 because 11 is like the after sun episode, I think. So 10 and 12, go to sleep. Wake up. Watch 13, 14, and then I'm all caught up. I'm all cut up on the island, man. But this show is super good, and I love it so much. And that's what I've been doing for my past couple of hours before I came onto the pod, right? But before that, going to last week, first thing on the docket, my week was tough, man. Last week was really tough. My head wasn't in it. My heart wasn't in it. My soul just wasn't in it. I didn't really feel like podding. I didn't really feel like doing much last week. I didn't really feel like much like living was like I didn't really feel like living last week, like getting out of my bed and like doing stuff. I kind of felt like very I don't know what it was, right? I think it was a lot. I think it was a lot of things. I think it was a plethora of things, right? I think one of the things that I highly affected me last week was really missing New York, right? I miss New York a lot. I'm not gonna lie. And I think I miss a lot of my friends from New York. Like, for example, shout out to Dakota. Shout out to my boy Dakota. Dakota just turned 24, I think, 24, 25, I think. Happy belated birthday. Well, his birthday was like in May. But Dakota just had my friend Dakota. He just had like a birthday party on this rooftop, and he DJ'd, and they like people came, like a lot of the homies came through, and it was fun. And I looked at like the pictures that was posted, and I was like, dang, I wish I could have been there. And then like one of my friends like earlier like the same week that I left, she had like a graduation party, and I saw the pictures, and I was like, dang, I wish I could have been there. And then like, I watch church online, so I'm looking at the church services online, and like I'm watching them, and all I can think about is like, oh man, I wonder who's sitting in our spot this week. I wonder if everybody showed up. I wonder X, Y, and Z. And I'd be like, dang, I wish I could be there. And then that I wish I could be there started turning into like I should have been there. Like I should have been there. Like it started turning into like that. And I started getting like real down, real depressed, right? And then something hit me, and it was like, well, if you should have been there, you would have been there. Like if you should have, you would have. But that's not how things work. That's not how this works, right? Like everything works in time, and this just isn't the time for me to stay in New York during the summer. And that's something I had to live with. That's something I had to live with. That's something I had to sit down with. That's something I had to like, not necessarily cry about. Like I really can't cry about that. Like I have to live with that realization. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. It's a tough realization to live with. But I quickly, after getting that realization, I quickly realized that me missing my friends back in New York so much, I'm very quick to neglect the people that love me here. Right. So I'm very quick to neglect the friends that I have here, my friends that are back home, my friends that I like can reach out to and talk to and hang out with. I'm super quick to neglect them because I'm missing my other friends so much. And I think like finding a balance, right? Like my biggest issue with creating is finding a balance, a work life balance. That's my biggest issue, right? Like I can be all work all the time, and that works out for me sometimes. Being like all work all the time, X, Y, and Z, right? Or I can be like all friends all the time, and that works out for me sometimes too. But like it's always, I feel like there's always a piece missing, right? And I feel like when one thing's going really good, another thing isn't going great at all, right? So I feel like last summer my personal life was going great, but my work life was kind of like in the balance. And right now I feel like my work life is doing pretty well, and it's going in the direction that I want to see it go. But right now my personal life is kind of like that's a personal, I mean like my professional life is going great, but like my personal life is kind of like in the gutter, right? And I really don't know how to feel about it. I really don't know how I feel about it. I'm kind of trying to figure out the emotions. I'm kind of going through the motions. And my mind kind of couldn't sit down for a second last week to kind of like figure out the highs and the lows, right? Everything was kind of going and running, and I was just in bed, just like sick and scrolling on Instagram, watching my friends here do something, watching my friends back home do something. And it got so bad that my best friend, she hit me up and she was like, yo, like, what, like, how long are you going to be home before I get to see you? And I was like, dang, like I haven't seen anybody since I've been home. And I kind of just been stuck in my own little bubble mentally, right? And I've been having to like slowly but surely get myself out of that bubble, like dig myself out of that hole that I kind of put myself into. And I'm at a point now where it's like, is it going to be me time or we time? So is it going to be me time in the sense of, okay, I'm going to spend all this time by myself, just working, grinding, focusing, only doing podcast stuff, only doing X, Y, and Z. My mind only focused on this, that, and the third, right? Am I going to be straight focused on business, or is it going to be we time where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out with my friends, I'm going to hang out, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to make the most of this summer. Since I don't like, I'm gonna make the most of this summer since I don't really have like nothing else to do other than work, right? And since I'm not gonna be in New York to hang out, I might as well just do all of that stuff here at home. And on the other hand of that, on the other side of that, I was telling my mom a couple days ago that I want to start dating again. That I do want to get in that field. I do want to start dating again. And I think for me personally, that brings for me personally, that brings a lot of concerns for me, being somebody who hasn't dated in God knows how long, in like over 3 years, haven't dated seriously in like over 3 years, haven't asked anybody on a date in like a year and some change, haven't like seriously talked to somebody like or started talking to somebody in over 5 years, right? Like I don't even know like how to get back into that. Like I have a hard time at this stage in my life like making a new friend. So like making like adding a new companion to that is kind of tough. And then like I know like watching Love Island is a terrible like way to like decide this, but like watching Love Island makes me even double down and being like, damn, I'm probably not ready for like a relationship because I can't even be a good friend to the people that I already have in my corner. So I started getting super depressed about that, right? That's a lot of things that I was thinking about, and a lot of that stuff was weighing on me for a really long time. But I had to split my mind up in a way to where I had to really dive deep in knowing myself in the things that I want to do, right? Like, for example, I want to hang out with my friends, but I know in the moment that I was like, you know what, I should hang out with my friends, I wasn't in the mental space to go hang out. Like, I was in the mental space of like, you know what, I need to just go outside by myself. So that's what I did. I went outside by myself, had a nice little day by myself, got some not so great news. So I ended up coming home earlier than I wanted to when I was out by myself because I got some not so great news. But ended up coming back home, and everything was pretty cool and pretty chill. Then like the next day I was in the Economist talking about my faith walk, talking about like why Gen Z now is turning to the gospel faster than pretty much ever, right? And then after that, after I find out that I was in the economy, I keep messing up the name of this. After finding out I was in the Economist, I went to a Grammy party. I went to a Grammy DC chapter party at Sycamore Oak. And I did so much, right? I did so much during that time, so much working, so much grinding, right? And I was like in my head so much that those two moments kind of like brought me out of that moment, out of my head just a little bit. So I think I say that all to say that like I think as creatives, as people who like uh make things right and like pride ourselves in like what we make and like our abilities and what we can do, right? We kind of like isolate ourselves sometimes, and sometimes it becomes work, right? And when we kind of like notice that we're working so much, we kind of take ourselves out of that mode and be like, all right, people, but like we people too much, and then we like, all right, work. And I think being so young, trying to navigate the two lifestyles can be super hard. So I think that like knowing yourself and knowing who you are at that specific moment really helps, because I don't think people understands that moment to moment you change. Like I'm not waking up the same person I was like today, tomorrow. Like tomorrow, if the good Lord allows me to see tomorrow, right? When I wake up, if I wake up tomorrow, if the good Lord allows me to see it, when I wake up, I'm not going to be the same person I was today, because when I woke up today, guess what? I didn't watch Love Island. And when I wake up tomorrow, guess what? I would have watched Love Island. See, but it's like little small things like that that can really change you as a person, that can really change the way you think, the way you process things, right? And I think like it might be funny, like and it might sound funny and it might sound stupid now, but in the grand scheme of things, like every single day when you move throughout life moment to moment, each moment that you live by changes you just a little bit, right? One thing that was said in this one moment, it changes you. Then this next thing that was said, it changes you. And like little things throughout your day can continue to change you. So you have to know yourself moment to moment as you continue to change to know where you are in each moment, right? Last week, I lost sight of where I was in each moment, and I let a whole bunch of different moments that I was holding on to kind of fluster up, and they built up, and then they just exploded out, and I didn't know how to deal with that, right? So I kind of just like stayed in my room, stayed in my bed, kind of like just like kind of hid myself from the world, right? Instead of taking time to like just settle in moment to moment, kind of taking my time to just like woosah and breathe every single moment and like just figure out and piece all of the emotions and feelings together. Everything hit me at one time. So I'm saying like you really have to know yourself, right? You have to know what makes you get out of your comfort zone. You have to know what makes you get out of your bubble. You have to make you know what like gets you like feeling anxious and depressed. Like you have to know that. And not only do you have to know that, but you have to turn that into good art too. Like you have to turn that into something. You can't just sit on the knowing. You have to do something about it. Because if you, at least for me, if I just sit on knowing that, it's not really going to do much for me. But if I turn that energy into something else and make that energy into something beautiful and into something amazing and into something like wonderful, something that I can cherish, something that I can sit on, man, then there's nothing stopping me from that, right? So I just want to give encouragement to you all to start this pod off, right? And I know like we're like 20 minutes, about like roughly 20 minutes into the pod. Nah, not really. A little under 20 minutes into the pod. And I just kind of like want to give you all some encouragement on this. Like, listen, we all have bad days. Bad days are going to happen. Listen, man, it happens to the best of us, but it's how you navigate the bad days. It's how you feel those bad days. It's how you think about those bad days. It's how you like just maneuver and mature and just like get through that really shows who you are as a person, that really shows your character, and really shows who you are as a creative. It shows how well you can create out of out of negative circumstances, which I think is like what most creatives do, right? Like you see something happen to you or your community or your family, or these situations happen to you, you have a bad breakup or whatever the case may be, right? Or like, for example, like the political crisis that is happening in the world right now. Like you look at all of these things and you're like, oh, well, how can I make something out of this? How can my voice be heard out of this? How can a generation's voice be heard? And how can this voice be heard for generations to come out of this like moment that I'm living in, right? And do you make something out of that? So why don't you take the anxious and the depressing and all of those moments and just take that energy instead of sitting in that, taking that energy to make something uh more, right? And it's way easier said than done. I know that. I acknowledge that it's way easier said than done, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. Just because we say that all the time, right? I think that that's something that I say all the time, at least like, man, it's easier said than done. That like you say you can do that, but that's easier said than done, right? Duh, most things are easier said than done. That doesn't mean that you can't do them though. Like that doesn't make things not doable just because it's easier said than done. Like, okay, yeah, it's easier said than done, but you can still do it. It might be hard, it might be difficult, but you can still do it. By the grace of God, you can still do it. Like, it's easier said than done, but you can still do it anyway, right? And still try to do it. Like it's easier to for me to tell you, man, when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling anxious, turn that feeling into something creative and make it something beautiful, right? It's easy for me to tell you that than it is for you to do it. But the only reason it is easy for me to tell you that is because I've done it. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not telling you this out of a place of like someone who hasn't experienced this before. No, I've done it. So I can now tell you that it is easy for me to do. You feel me? That is easy for you to do, right? Or that is not as hard as you might think, right? Or I know the difficulty of this and it is difficult, but you are able to do it. Like you are still capable, right? Like don't don't be paralyzed by your feeling, right? Like you might be feeling this way in this moment. Don't be paralyzed by your feeling. Don't allow yourself to stay so still because you're feeling this one way. No, allow yourself to be free. Unchain yourself from these feelings. Allow yourself to be free. Create something in whatever way that, like, whatever frees you from a negative feeling, a negative thought process, right? Whatever makes you feel free in that, do that thing. Don't let like your thoughts or don't let your feelings stop you from making something that makes you happier, that can free you from a moment that you don't want to be in. You feel me? Y'all get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. All right. Main topic. Next thing on the docket, you can't dream when you're trying to survive. So, like I said earlier, I watched church online and I was in the middle of church, and my pastor said this exact quote. He was talking about revival and like when he was talking about it, he was talking about revival like in New York City, and like how our church like is big on like wanting to see revival and wanted to see like the Lord move in New York City, right? But when he said that, I thought about all my friends, all the guys that I grew up around, and like all the like people my parents grew up around who quite didn't make it, right? Whose dreams quite didn't come true because they were in a mode of survival, right? Or like my homies whose dreams can't come true or will never come true because of that mode of survival that they're in, right? And when he said that, it's something like click, like you you can't dream when you're trying to survive. it brings me to this to this point, right? I love this poem Dreams by Langston Hughes. I love it. One, I love Langston Hughes because Langston Hughes is just a great poem, a great poet, right? Um uh yeah, Langston Hughes is just a great poet, and my favorite Langston Hughes poem is "Life Ain't But No Crystal Stair." But I love Dreams by Langston Hughes because I first read it in high school for a theater class. Shout out to Miss Calhoun in my speech class. She used to be like, "Hold fast to dreams, because if dreams die, life is like a broken winged bird that cannot fly." And she used to make us like quote the whole poem over and over and over again. But the poem says this, right? Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is like a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams go, life is like a barren field frozen with snow. And when he said that, I thought of this poem. Like immediately, right? Like I thought of A Raisin in the Sun, the play by Lorraine Hansberry. If you haven't read or seen A Raisin in the Sun, please do it. Do not watch the Diddy version of A Raisin in the Sun. Not because of everything that's happening with Diddy in the trial and all of that, because it's just a bad movie. Watch the old version of A Raisin in the Sun, like the black and white version, or like the first color edition of A Raisin in the Sun. Watch that version of A Raisin in the Sun. Don't watch the Diddy version of A Raisin in the Sun. It's just not that great of a film. Anyway, but I think about this poem, right? And I think about A Raisin in the Sun, and I think about, even though I don't think A Raisin in the Sun was based off of this poem, I think it was based off the other poem, but it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. There's a dry up like a raisin in the sun, there's a fester in the store. Dang, what happens to a dream deferred? There's a dry up like a raisin in the sun, does a fester like a sore in the run, right? So that's the one that Raisin in the Sun is about. But this one also fits. Sorry, I just went on a whole theater nerd rant. I'm so sorry. But I'm so passionate about theater and these two sets of poems in particular. But when I think about people like who are from the hood specifically, a lot of my dogs, and they're like, man, I can't do X, Y, and Z, or I have this dream, I have this passion, I want to do this, but I can't really focus on this because I have to do this, right? Because I have to take care of my family, because I had to pay the bills, because I have to make sure my mom's water is on, because I have siblings and family to feed and X, Y, and Z. So they do whatever they have to do to make sure whatever they have to get done is done. And I also think about that for like parents who can't necessarily like fully chase their career how they want to, because they might have had kids early, so they might have had a responsibility super early that they wasn't expecting, so they had to take a halt on their dreams and on their passions, on whatever they wanted to do to make sure they could take care of their family, right? Listen, you and again, easier said than done, but you can do it. Survival mode is a great thing. It's a great thing that we all have. It's a great ability that we can like all sit in and be like, oh man, survival mode, like flight or flight. Like I have to be in this mode to like, if I have to put food on the table, I got to do what I got to do to make sure my family has food on the table, right? I got to do what I got to do to make sure the lights are on, right? I got to do what I got to do. But doing what you got to do, you can do what you got to do, but also do what you want to do at the same time. You feel me? Like, yeah, have y'all ever seen those TikToks like my 5 to 9 before my 9 to 5? Like, I think we don't really look at those TikToks enough, right? And a lot of that stuff is like people going to the gym or like winding down, cooking, making dinner, watching their favorite shows, right? But if you take those 4 hours a day, your 5 to 9, after your 9 to 5, if you take those 4 hours a day and put those 4 hours into something that you are passionate about, into something that you care about, into like something that you really want to get done, just 4 hours, that 5 to 9 slot, and then from 9 on, do whatever you want to do. I promise you, you can get your dream done. Like whatever your dream is, I promise you, you're going to be working towards the dream so much and so often that before you can even think about it, when you look up, you're going to be way further along than you ever thought you were before. right? You can't let you like doing what you have to do get in the way of you like dreaming and getting like what you really want to do done. And again, I understand that's easier said than done. However, it can be done. And I understand people listening to this or people watching this, a lot of excuses are going to be made. You probably already made them to yourself, right? Like, well, I have kids and I can't do that. Or, well, I have another job and and I'm a student and I can't do this. Or, I like hanging out with my friends and I like X, Y, and Z, right? You know what else you like? You like comfortability. You like being miserable. You like, you like this little life that I'm gonna say you like being miserable. Let me not go that extreme. But you like this little life that you're living more than you want to admit. So you don't want to get uncomfortable for a little bit to chase something, right? Like you spend more hours, and I do too. So this isn't me coming at you because I do too. I spend more, you know what? Let me say I spend more hours a day scrolling on TikTok than I do podding. Than I do anything on the pod. I spend more hours scrolling on TikTok than I do anything for the pod. I spent more hours today watching Love Island than I did anything for the podcast, anything for a radio show, anything for any interviews I got coming up, anything for any like I got a production meeting on Thursday for a show that I'm pitching. For a show that I'm pitching on Thursday, I got a production meeting for a show that I'm pitching. A show. Guess how many ideas that I have? Ask me if my pitch is done. Ask me if the ideas are fleshed out. No, there's not. But guess what? I have to hold myself accountable, and I know I have to sit down and lock in on these things because guess what? The job is the job, no matter what. My one thing about me, my dream isn't going anywhere. It's always going to stay. God put it on my heart for a reason, and I know He put this in my heart for a reason. I know I have a purpose to fulfill in this earth, and that's to do what I'm doing right now, to make sure that you all do whatever you guys need to do to make sure that you're fulfilling your purpose on earth, to make sure that whoever sees your art gets inspired to fulfill whatever their purpose is. They're so on and so forth, right? So the ball of inspiration can continue to flow and follow each other in that way, right? And not just inspiration, but creation. That's what I'm doing now to make sure that you guys get inspired and create, to make sure the next people get inspired and create from your art, to make sure more people get inspired and create from their art, right? Cool. I know that dream isn't going anywhere. So I'm going to do whatever I have to do to survive, yes, but to also make sure that dream gets done. For example, when I get back to New York, not only do I want to I'm going to be working at my school in the podcast lab. I'm going to apply for a job at Supreme, and I'm going to apply to be a bartender at a restaurant. Yeah, I'm going to be doing all of that. But you know what's not going to stop? On the Block Radio is not going to stop. Arts Block Podcast isn't going to stop. Actually, Arts Block Podcast during the school year is going to be back and better than ever. Some things you don't have the luxury to stop. I feel like I said this in a TikTok, I believe. I might have said this on the pod too. We don't have the luxury to stop. We don't have that luxury. Especially, a lot of us are people of color watching this. Some of you all aren't people of color watching this. But to all my people of color, specifically to all my black people, specifically to all my young black men watching this, we don't have the luxury to stop. They already want to make us crabs in a barrel. They already don't want us to have any opportunities for ourselves anyway. They already are putting ourselves against each other anyway. They're already trying to make it seem like there's not enough spots and positions to fulfill and to make it to our dreams and goals anyway. We don't have the luxury to stop chasing our dream. We don't have the luxury to just be another nigga. We don't have that luxury. We can't do that. You can't do that. You can't just be another guy. You don't have that luxury. I'm sorry. There are people counting on you as tough as that sounds, as much as you hate that sound, trust me, I hate the sound too. I hate people counting on me too. Trust me, I probably hate people counting on me more than you hate people counting on you. Trust me, I feel you. People are counting on us, bro. We don't have the luxury to stop. We don't have that luxury. You think if my father stopped playing drums and didn't go on tour, you think I'll be making this podcast today? You think if my mother, when she was pregnant, decided to stop playing drums, you think I'll be here doing what I'm doing today? Nigga, I'll probably be wanting to be a damn accountant. I don't know what I want to do. But they didn't stop. So I got to see things that I wasn't, that inspired me to create and be able to see a life that I never thought I'll be able to see. You don't have the luxury. The next generation has to see that from you. You don't have the luxury to stop. So as much as you have to survive, as much as you have to work, as much as you have to do X, Y, and Z, you don't have the luxury to not make the dream come into a reality, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You don't have the luxury for the dream to stay up here and for not to produce. I'm sorry. You don't have that luxury. And I'm sorry that I have to be the one to tell you. And I'm sorry I have to be the one to tell you in this fashion, in this manner. But I'm just so passionate about art. And I'm so passionate about you being able to create and you being great in your creative ability that I can't sit here and let you waste your potential on you needing to survive when you can be able to do both. You can survive and create at the same time. There's plenty of people who do it. There's plenty of people who come home from their 9 to 5 and hop on stream. There's plenty of people who come home from their 9 to 5 and go straight into their office, their at-home office, and do whatever they got to do. It's plenty of people who do that. They post about it all the time. They post about it all the time. You can see the work. You can see the progress. There's a billion stories about it all the time. People who came home from their job and be like, you know what? I don't even need this no more. I'm about to just take the risk and do this. You don't have the luxury, brother, sister. You don't have the luxury. We can't stop the luxury. Did I release that luxury goods podcast? I don't think I released that luxury goods podcast, and I need to release that pod. I don't think I ever released luxury goods. Don't worry. Next pod, luxury goods. Don't worry about it. Y'all gonna figure it out. Listen, man, and I think a lot of feeling, and for the people who has done that, right? The people who have chased those dreams, who have done the work, right? I feel like a lot of survival remorse comes from that, right? Because you feel like, dang, I was able to make it out because of X, Y, and Z, and these people weren't able to make it out, right? I remember talking to my homie, my best friend Mickey. I remember talking to him, and he was talking about how he like felt survival remorse because he gets to live out his dream and living in New York and doing X, Y, and Z, right? I looked at him like he had 8 heads. I looked at him like he was crazy. Why? Because I don't feel survival remorse. I don't feel that way at all. I don't feel that way at all. Because just as I told y'all that you can do both, you can manage to survive and you can manage to make sure your dream becomes a reality. Just a way you can do that. I did that. He did that. That's why he's studying at Fordham right now. That's why I'm studying at Pace right now. Because we both just made sure our dreams turned. That's why my other best friend Abdullah, that's why he's studying at Berklee College of Music for free right now. You think that you think we didn't have to do what we had to do to get there? Especially my man Abdullah, he definitely had to do what he had to do to get there. But like, I don't feel that way. And I think we also feel that way because dreaming feels like a luxury. Like dreaming at times feels like a luxury that we have. Like being able to have dreams, being able to like just think outside the box. Because remember, you can't dream when you're in survival. It's hard to dream when you're trying to survive. So like I believe that we like us like being just able to dream freely, right? Us being able to just sit and create and do all of these things, right? And being in a performing arts school, that helped, and that felt like a luxury, which it is. That's a luxury. That's a luxury good. However, I think that I have a solution. I have a solution from this feeling. I have a solution for this feeling, right? So I have a hotline. Don't actually call this number. Don't actually call this number. Do not actually call this number. but I'm gonna tell y'all what to do with this soon. I have a hotline for all the people who one can feel like they cannot create and cannot chase their dreams because they are too busy trying to survive, trying to work, trying to pay bills, trying to keep the lights on, trying to take care of their family, X, Y, and Z. I have a hotline for you, and that same hotline goes for people who feel survival remorse because they are able to dream, they are able to chase their dreams, and they feel guilty because they feel like they're supposed to take the whole hood out of the system with them, right? I have a hotline for you. One text, email 1-800 Hills. 1-800 ARTHEALS. Really, what that means, just DM me at Art Supply Podcast. DM me at Art Supply Podcast. 1-800 Art Hills, bro. Whenever you think about, I want you to, whenever you think about, oh man, I can't do it because of this, or man, I really want to chase this dream, X, Y, and Z, I want you to think about the hotline 1-800 Art Hills. 1-800 Art Hills. What if somebody called you on that hotline saying, man, I really need your idea? Man, I really need you to create that business. Man, I really need you to do X, Y, and Z. Man, I really need you to make that song because you don't even know how much that will help me right now. 1-800 Art Hills. You don't know what your art's going to do for the next person, but I know what it's going to do. 1-800 Art Hills. Leads me down to my last point, man. Last thing on the docket, man. Obsession leads to perfection. When you're obsessed with something, there's no other option for you to do but perfect that thing, right? Let me give you an example. So, like I said earlier, I want to be a bartender. So last night I searched up about every single thing you can search up when it comes to being a bartender. Every fact, every question, everything. Anything that when it comes to being a bartender, how to pour, how to shake, how to hold the jigger, how to do the bartender count, like what goes into what drinks you stir, which drinks you shake, like all of that stuff. Last night I was just doing a whole bunch of homework on that, and I'm probably going to do some more homework on all of this stuff tonight too. I'm probably going to buy a bartending book so I can learn like the different spirits, the different drinks. Like I learned like the little how like they organize the drinks behind the bar. I learned a whole bunch of stuff, right? But that's because I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with becoming so good at bartending and being able to provide for myself with bartending that I'm able to take that money and directly put it towards podcast stuff, right? Directly get better quality mics, get better quality cameras, get better quality, whatever the case may be. I want to it's going to be a direct pipeline. You get me from like being it what I make bartending to what I make potting to bartending to potting, right? It's a direct pipeline of that, right? So I know I have to be obsessed to be good at it because once I perfect the craft of bartending, I'm able to be like able to make tips and be able to make bread and do X, Y, and Z. So I'm able to funnel that money into what I really want to do. You have to be obsessed. You have to want to learn everything about your business. You have to want to learn everything about your endeavors. You want to have to learn everything about everything. I used to not believe the saying, how you treat one thing is how you treat everything, but it's true. If you miss attention to detail in one thing, you're going to miss attention to detail in everything. However you treat your surviving job is going to be how you treat your career, your dream, your whatever, right? How you treat your school is going to be how you treat your dream, your goal, your career, your X, Y, and Z. You have to be obsessed. Obsession equals perfection. If you want to go into music and you don't know every single thing that goes into the music industry, you're not obsessed enough. I know everything that goes into podcasting. I know I'm tapping everybody's pockets. I know how much roughly everybody makes. At all the top earners in my space, I know how much roughly they all make. All the top earners in my space. Because I love this so much. I know the hottest equipment that's out. because I love this so much. I know what the numbers are looking like because I love this so much. I know what the ad revenue for podcasting is looking like because I love this so much. You have to be obsessed with whatever it is that you want to do. You have to be obsessed. Tyler the Creator said in this interview, um Tyler the Creator did this interview. I don't know if it was recently or a while ago or an old interview, but I've been seeing clips of it recently. Um and he was like, "Listen, man, I'm a musician. What else do you want me to talk about? I love music. I'm a musician. What else do you want me to talk about? Like what else do you want me to speak about? I love this." That's how obsessed you have to be with your art. Obsession leads to perfection. You all, and guess what? I'm obsessed with you all. So, guys, I'm gonna try to make this podcast as perfect as possible for you all because I'm obsessed with you all and your creativity, and I love you all so much. Thank y'all so much for loving me. Thank y'all so much for loving another episode of the Art Spot Podcast. Before we get out of here, though, I will give y'all my Dead or Alive. What is Dead or Alive? Dead or Alive is a segment on the pod where me or the artist gets to choose other artists that we would like to work with that is dead or alive. Now we can choose one artist, we can choose 100 artists. This is my pod. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. Listen, I'm going to choose Tyler the Creator. I'm going to choose J. Cole. I'm going to choose Ryan Coogler. I'm going to choose Chadwick Boseman. I'm going to choose Michael Jackson. That's who I'm gonna choose. That's my Dead or Alive. Thank y'all so much for tuning into another episode of our Spot Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Curry III. You can follow me on Instagram at Eric Curry III. You can follow the podcast at Arts Block Podcast. If you are listening to this on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you can be notified every time we post a podcast. If you are listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, please give me a 5-star and a review. Remember that artists never die. I love you. God loves you. Do something that you love every single day. Do it with meaning, do it with purpose, do it with passion, do it with love. I'm going to see y'all when I see y'all, boys. Peace and love. I am out.